Okay, so honest answer. Which one do you think was better?
Oh, it's a tough call. We're being facetious. Of course this one's better, for fuck's sake.
I mean, the other one had a Jimi Hendrix song in it, I think, at some point, so...
Oh, and, Jared Leto Joker.
Yeah,
which we all wanted.
Tough call. So, just for fun, just gonna go to Rotten Tomatoes, because I haven't actually checked this yet, but when we look up Suicide Squad on Rotten Tomatoes.
Suicide Squad or The Suicide Squad?
Wait, what? What do you mean Rotten Tomatoes? Did I spell Rotten Tomatoes wrong?
No, I think I just have an issue with the server, maybe.
What the fuck? Anyway, this was better. So I'll keep trying on this, but no need to waste time on it. Like, seriously, this was
leagues better.
Pronouncedly better. This was decisively, just immediately and consistently better. And I know it's a low bar, but it's the whole thing.
It's amazing to me because, of all the movie genres that are out there, there is no extreme agree disagree balance that we have than the superhero genre.
I guess my Wi-Fi is just being weird.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Because especially when it comes to the Marvel and DC stuff, because when we agree, we hard agree.
Oh yeah.
On something. When we disagree on something, you're a buzzkill for a long time about it.
I mean, we'll never stop disagreeing about it. It's not like I'm going to change my mind about genocidal propaganda being fun.
I'm totally fucking with you.
Yeah.
But this is one of those cases where we are absolutely 100%
very much
on the same page.
Very much
on just how much we love the rampant, intentional stupidity of this entire 2-hour movie.
What I love about this is that I've been a James Gunn fan since before Guardians.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that as a hipster thing.
I liked it before it was cool.
A lot of people are unfamiliar with James Gunn's R-rated content.
Like Slither and...
Slither, Super was okay, but Slither is great. Tromeo and Juliet before that is fucking crazy. If you're at all into that level of thing of just really weird, silly, no regard for reality, just humor and horror. It's almost like knowing how Peter Jackson did Dead Alive before Lord of the Rings. If you don't know, if the only thing you know Peter Jackson from is King Kong and Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and The Lovely Bones, you will be shocked if you watch Dead Alive, because it is a blast.
It's kind of like knowing Sam Raimi did a Muppet movie and
the
Evil Dead movies before Spider-Man.
Yeah. So there's these, some of the weirder filmmakers just have these interesting histories with movies, and if you're familiar with them before they go on to do their more mainstream stuff, or even if you become familiar with that stuff after they start it gives you an interesting perspective on their style and how it evolves. And this is very much a return to form for James Gunn while also incorporating things from the Guardian movies. And
which is, this movie kind of feels like what happens when you let a director who's good do what they want with their property.
Do what he's good at and actually do good things.
And actually understands the kind of movie
what
they're
he's
making.
Directing.
Instead of trying to project their stupid, pretentious bullshit on something where it just does not work.
So, just as a heads up, on Metacritic at least, Suicide Squad has an average rating of 40. The Suicide Squad has an average rating of 74. So that's pretty solid.
I remember reviewing the first one years ago and just saying, like, at the time I was like, people should fucking demand better, and this is the answer to that. This is legitimately better.
Yeah.
James Gunn has a unique talent of making the implausible work.
Well, I remember talking to somebody a few years ago who said that, he was a fan of the first Suicide Squad movie. And his biggest reason for it was that, regardless of its shortcomings, he was a fan of the concept of the Suicide Squad, and it was the only time he was going to be able to see it on the big screen. And I'm so happy for him that he now has this movie to enjoy. Because this was a fucking blast.
Oh, I had so much fun.
Front to back. There are clunky moments.
Sure.
There are definitely, shoehorned conversations in there that are there just for the sake of sentimentality or the plot. Fine. I'm willing to give those a pass, because, movies aren't perfect all the time. And this is not the kind of movie that is going to skillfully evoke dramatic moments.
No.
But it pulls off some of the sentimental moments.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but you still like the characters. You still genuinely get invested in them.
Ended up rooting for characters I did not think I would give a shit about.
And it pulls up just some of the most obscure comic lore. A lot of it's just shit in the background. And,
no spoilers.
I'm not gonna give away the big spoiler. We'll get to that, we'll go into spoilers. We have to talk about it. But, in the first 10 minutes of the movie, Crazy Quilt shows up.
Crazy Quilt?
Yep, actual Batman villain. The person with, the crazy colored tattoos on her face?
Oh, yeah.
That's Crazy Quilt.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, okay.
In the comics, he's a man, and a character that is openly mocked anytime they bring him back. The point where there's this little comedy, Batman's fighting Crazy Quilt, Nightwing's in the back, just arms crossed, you go get him, Bruce. Crazy Quilt, what a stupid name. It's what he's saying in the back. And then, in that same scene, 2 minutes later, Calendar Man shows up.
I don't even know who that is. What the fuck is Calendar Man?
Calendar Man is exactly what he sounds like.
What's his shtick?
These are all Batman villains, I should
Fine, but what's his shtick?
Calendar Man is in the early 60s, 70s, 80s, he was kind of just this dorky villain who would just do crimes on holidays. Yes. And Jeff Loeb's The Long Halloween, they kind of redesigned him as a serial killer that just killed people on holidays.
Okay.
But the trademark is he has the names of the months tattooed around his bald head.
Cool.
Yep, which is what he shows up in this comics, man.
All right.
Comics are weird, which is something you need to understand about this genre as a whole.
It's not just that they're weird, though. They're wildly just... It's a medium, right? So, sure, it has the ability to go in different directions, but it has room for all kinds of different expression within
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I love about them.
But the thing that comes out in comics more than other things is just how fucking weird they get sometimes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I think really works to this movie's benefit, because it leans into that.
It does, and I think this is something you and I were talking about earlier, is what makes a good superhero movie, TV show, whatever, is not only that they lean into the weirder aspects of the comics. I love when they do that, but it's not by itself what makes it great. It's when you understand that while that stuff is fun and entertaining, it also... There's a weird humanity, because every superhero story, every Marvel DC story, they're all morality tales.
Yeah.
Every single one. And when you use the weirdness to bring out an aspect of humanity.
Sure.
You use it to express these more human ideas and extremely weird out there ideas.
Yeah.
A lot of them very much drug induced.
Yeah.
I would argue the most comic booky Marvel DC product I've seen in the last probably 5 years is actually Loki. Because as kind of weird as that concept is, but every beat of it, every pacing, every character, every twist is straight out of a comic book.
Oh, nice.
And
I didn't know that.
Not literally, not a little translation.
Yeah.
Just in terms of tone
and
pacing and setting. I can see this being written as a comic book beat for beat.
Sorry.
And I'm not saying that's what made that show great, but it understood what makes those stories great.
Yeah. That's part of why I'm really enjoying this era of comic book movies.
For sure.
Almost most of all. Because I feel like there was this idea of what people wanted out of comic book movies that was part of the whole growth of the first three phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and of course what became the downfall of most of DC so far. And it's this whole idea that, you know, they want these... There are the hero moments, but there's also a lot of them coming just from, you know, very attractive, stoic, generally white men who are just stronger than everything around them through sheer force of will, and they can just bumble their way into success sometimes, namely Iron Man. But it's also this thing where, you know, you seem to just have like this star cast of people, and that's part of why I liked Endgame, because even though there were still a number of those guys around, like, most of the star cast was kind of out of the picture or changed in some way, like, you know, Thor in his new iteration there. Like, I liked how that gave a twist to it, and I liked how Guardians became this weird little offshoot, which was very much not that.
Yeah.
And to me, the most interesting things in the MCU are when you get away from the standard hero's journey of someone who's as pure of mind as someone like, say, Captain America.
True.
Because you can use that as an ideal to like talk about ideas and everything and propel something that's like, you know, an espionage or a spy movie. But when it comes to interesting characters, I never got as much out of that as someone as complicated as, say, you know, Gamora. You know, I just found it more interesting.
I can totally see that argument. I think that a lot of that boils down to personal taste, because I can definitely see a lot of value just in a more straightforward hero's journey.
Well, that's why I like Thor better, Loki better than Thor.
As a character, you mean like movie franchise or just as a character?
As a character.
Oh yeah, everyone likes Loki better.
Because he's more complex. He's more interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Like, Thor is fun. He has his charm and everything. But Loki has something that makes me, like, want to see what happens to him.
Yeah.
And even within the MCU, where they went near the end of it was kind of the deconstruction of Thor.
Yeah.
Which is what made that more interesting.
Yeah.
But, yeah, anyway, so, like...
Actually, this is a little bit of a tangent, but you'll find this interesting.
Yeah.
In terms of what you can do with more stoic heroic characters. There's actually a plotline in the comic books going on right now with Donny Cates, who's probably one of the best writers currently working in the medium.
Okay.
You want to talk about a writer who actively understands the character he's writing about, it's Donny Cates.
Okay.
But he's writing Thor right now. He has this whole, like, he had recently had a scene where he's kind of like, he's become king of Asgard, he's kind of going through this whole thing, and he's talking to Captain America, and he says, like, what did we do, like, last month? And it's like, well, we fought off, like, the Celestials and all these things. Like, okay, see, I've been alive for thousands of years. All of these things are blips in my memory. The reason I ask is because I don't remember. Every time I come see all of you, I am so happy to see all of you, because I don't know if you're going to be alive when I come back here, because time means something very differently to me.
Yeah.
So it comes to, like, all these characters, like, there really are, like, modern-day mythological characters.
Yeah.
And the fact that there so is a lot you can do with them.
Yeah.
But it really just depends on the writing execution. And I feel like we're getting to a point where we're becoming more ambitious in the media side of things.
Yes.
Film, television, all that stuff, where we're kind of exploring more of what we can really do with that.
Exactly.
And I do agree that we're currently probably, like, leaning into the most interesting era of these franchises, despite our disagreements on the stuff that came before.
Well, because Phase 4 so far has seen some really... You know, you're giving the second-tier characters, so to speak, a chance to shine. Now that we've gotten, you know, the main Avengers stories out of the way, now we can really explore things like what's happening with Scarlet Witch, what's happening with, you know, Falcon as he grows into the whole Captain America role, what happens with Loki. Like, I find that interesting.
Yeah.
So, and the movies that got coming up sound interesting. So, all that said... I feel like the previous Suicide Squad was trying to be like just this badass, like, look how badass these grizzled criminals are, and like just really just a joyless fucking exercise in trying to shove a bunch of things that people think will work into a case, and it just does not at all in the end. And this is the polar opposite of that.
Yeah.
This is a filmmaker who understands the source material and all the different tonal things that you can pull off.
Make Google something, but keep talking.
And balancing out those different elements in a way that feels cohesive, feels consistent, and feels like at the end it forms like a proper story that makes sense. And I guess that's what cohesive means. But like the I can't stress how surprised I was at where this went and how well it all came together.
And just the insane amount of like, there's a right and a wrong way to do like comic references and lore.
Sure, yeah.
Like on its own, like if you just speak purely in references and all these things, it's not a good story.
Yeah, you become Family Guy.
You become Family Guy. But when you use these kind of more obscure references to these characters to tell an interesting story, that's when it adds to it rather than distracts. Which again, I feel like is something the first Suicide Squad kind of did too. Where it's like, oh look, we have Enchantress, she's here, she's doing things. Oh, there's a Superman t-shirt over there, that's a thing.
This is Katana! Don't mess with her! Her sword steals souls!
Yeah, that kind of schlocky shit.
Yeah, it's just like,
and it shows,
okay.
And it shows like, and it just, the way it's just thrown in there so haphazard and lazy that there's nothing to really engage you in that story.
They're here
but
now.
in this is the case of the story is engaging, the characters are engaging, so when you catch something really stupid or obscure, then like it adds to it rather than distracts from it, because the central core of it is intact and it knows what it's doing. And the reason I bring that up in particular, because I have to talk about Nathan Fillion's character a little bit, who's in there very, very briefly. He's only in the beginning.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he's DTK.
That was Nathan Fillion?
That was Nathan Fillion.
Holy shit! I didn't even know. With the holy shit!
And
oh god.
And I have to, because this is one of those, this is such a, like, we're talking insanely obscure comic lore, because, first off, there is no character called DTK in the comics.
Yeah.
But, this is when James Gunn said, can I do this? And they said, sure, because they don't care. There is a character that came from the Legion of Superheroes, which is like the superhero team of the far future.
Okay.
That is called, and I googled it because I had to get the name right, Arms Fall Off Boy.
No. Oh my god.
Whose entire power was that he could detach his arms and use it like a bat, like a baseball bat.
Okay.
And it looks like this. And it's 100% real. And it's more like, he's only appeared in like one issue, ever.
So what you're saying is he knew this guy existed and he was like,
I really want to get him in here.
we can work this in somehow.
Like, there has to be a way.
We can make this happen. That's amazing.
Is Nathan busy?
And you know he told Nathan Fillion the concept and Nathan was like, oh fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in on this. Oh man.
And like that's the kind of shit I love, because knowing that adds nothing to the overall movie.
Yeah,
but if
it's
you
fun.
do know that, it does add a little something extra to it without being overly distracting to the rest of what's going on.
No, it's like when I spotted Lloyd Kaufman.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of a thing.
Fucking crazy.
Even I can't talk today. But all these absurdity, all these ridiculous elements wouldn't work if your central cast isn't interesting. Mm-hmm. And once you kind of figure out who that is, because like they kind of weeded out pretty early on.
Sure, yeah.
Like who's cannon fodder, which you know just looking at the lineup when they introduce all the characters. Yeah, you kind of know who's not going to make it. The way they still go out though. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah,
no, let's get to those details of the spoiler territory. But for now, like the fun that it has with these characters, and the fun that all of these actors are clearly having. Oh yeah, playing these characters,
and how it redeems like the characters they bring back from the first movie. Like Colonel Flag is actually interesting here. Yeah. Like, I actually liked Colonel Flag, and I never thought I would like that actor as that character.
Oh, I fucking love that actor, though.
But I think he was shit in Suicide Squad, and that wasn't his fault.
No, absolutely not his fault. Like, he was... I feel like there are moments in the first Suicide Squad where you can see him just, like, saying a line. Like, he's saying a line, and he's almost shrugging without physically... like, his body language is just pretty much like, I guess. Like, just... But this one, it's good. Like...
And he looks like Colonel Flag in this one, which is also nice.
And then there's like Waller is back, and like
Viola Davis
she fits.
Viola Davis was always Amanda Waller. You were not going to find a better fit for that character.
No, she's great. She's great. And just the way that, like, fucking Margot Robbie's having a blast as usual.
Margot Robbie's always having a blast. Like I think that we immediately recognize, like, she's clearly the best part of it. So we gotta sign her on and have her do as many of these movies she's willing to do.
Yeah, she's having a good time. And, like, I feel like the chemistry between her and the other characters feels a lot more substantial this time.
Yeah.
Fucking Shark King, like...
King Shark,
like... Jesus Christ.
King Shark is kind of a fascinating character because there's really no consistent characterization for him.
Sure.
Like, ever.
But in this movie, they basically make him the equivalent of the cartoon trope of, which way did he go? Like,
just played by Sylvester Stallone to perfection.
That was Stallone?
You didn't know that?
No!
That was Sylvester Stallone.
That is amazing. Oh my god, that is so great.
Yeah, because, like, depending on what version of King Shark you're watching, he's either, like, perfectly fine and intelligent and can speak clear sentences, or he's just an utter goofball. I think the most infamous Suicide Squad page I've ever seen just has King Shark running down a hill going, I'm a shark, I'm a shark, I'm a shark, I'm a shark. And then it gets run up and it's like, I'm a fucking shark. And it's like rams into a wall or something.
Wow. That's pretty great.
So, like, King Shark's character's like, we don't know what he's like. Make him whatever you want. That feels like what it boils down to, which I kind of respect.
I think that's the real key here, is that very clearly, James Gunn was allowed to do whatever the fuck he wanted. And that is exactly what he did. I want to look up a kill count for this movie. Because there's so much fucking death that happens throughout this movie. And most of it is a lot of fun. Yeah. Like, it's gratuitous, it's terrible, it's not taken seriously.
It's a hard R film.
It is very much a hard R. There is so much fucking gore in this movie, and it is having a blast with it. I just wish...
And it's like...
This is what I want out of my fucking comic book movies. This is the kind of shit I was sad because when Disney bought Marvel, I was sad because I knew that this side of the Marvel universe would never happen. I know we have rumors. I know that we have rumors of Marvel Zombies happening eventually, but
it's happening in What If. That's already confirmed.
In What If?
Yeah, it's happening.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see how gory it is.
I doubt it's gonna be that gory because it's still like animated. But we do know, like, I do think they're gonna start getting darker though because Moon Knight is happening.
I don't know what Moon Knight does.
Okay, how to describe Moon Knight.
Well, let's stick to this movie.
Very, very briefly.
You've got so many tangents we could go into with this.
Moon Knight is first off is gonna be played by Oscar Isaac.
Cool.
Has carved off his enemy's face.
Cool.
For his moon god.
Cool.
He also has a lot of multiple personalities.
Is this part of the movie?
This is in the comics. So
yes, but are they going to be faithful?
I doubt that faithful.
That's unfair.
But it's more like...
I'd like to see that.
If you're going to go darker territory, it is a step in that direction. Now, I'm in the position, like, I don't need all my comic book movies and heroes to be like super dark and bloody and gory.
No, I don't need it either. I just want it sometimes.
Fair.
I want the option. I want a proper Nick Fury movie where he is like getting in the weeds and basically doing Punisher shit. Like, I want to see that version of Nick Fury. Because we've just seen him as commander of the Avengers, basically. And like, we've seen him get into the action a couple times, but nothing like what we've seen in any of the real comics. Like,
yeah, it depends on the writer.
Sure, yeah. But I would love to see like a proper Punisher, Nick Fury team-up movie. Like, doing the real shit. I want to see that kind of Marvel shit brought back from like the Netflix shows, where they were actually trying to do that. And they created some really compelling stories out of it, but we're probably not going to get that.
Well, the Punisher seasons were always kind of hit and miss.
Sure, but I liked... It can always be a mixed bag, but I feel like they hit enough to be worth it.
I can see the pros and cons. Like, I definitely see, like, for properties like Suicide Squad or The Punisher, you kind of have to go that route. I think that's totally warranted. I don't think Daredevil needs to do that. I don't even think Batman needs to do that.
It doesn't need to, but I like the option to explore that territory.
And I get that too, but to a certain extent, it's like, I'm personally getting a little tired of grimdark Batman. Just because that's all I've ever seen from that character. So I would like the option for other things too. You know what I mean?
Like Adam West Batman?
Honestly, yeah. Like
I feel like it's not really suitable for big screen stuff though. I don't know, like, because what we're gonna get. Like, I'm really excited about the upcoming Batman movie.
I'm just more like, if we're gonna talk about options about being like grim and dark and all that stuff, we also have to talk about options to take those characters in a different direction too. And we've
How
had
do
nothing.
you do that with Batman?
Very easily. Obviously,
what?
One of his villains is named Crazy Quilt. And the Condiment King.
Yeah, but you're talking about going into like the Adam West territory.
I'm more just saying in a lighter, more colorful direction that allows more Batman's colorful villains to come out. I would love to see Clayface. I would love to see
Clayface would be interesting, but at the same time, I feel like it wouldn't necessarily negate the darkness side of it.
It's more like
I think you're talking about more fantastical rather than.
But but Batman has a more varied ability for tones that people give him credit for. Look at the TV show Batman Brave and the Bold, where that was their whole point, was just to play with that.
Okay.
It's more so there is room for other interpretations on the darker side of things too. Is my point there?
I suppose, but I don't know if Batman's really the best example.
It's the most obvious example.
I suppose. But anyway,
take Mr. Miracle's another example I can think of.
Mr. Miracle is a really great tightrope walk.
Very much so. It's more like
yeah.
That really depends on the writer. It's because you had Tom King writing.
No, the one that you lent to me, the Tom King one. Is
really
you
can also do a cheesy adventure story where he's just about him just escaping from a bunch of shit. Or you can make it an existential, dreadful, about mental illness and overcoming trauma.
But in terms of what really connects with people beyond just being a fun movie.
But you can have that's the point of superhero genre, that they can either connect to you deeply and they can be a fun movie.
But if you're
or they can be both.
But inherently, you're gonna want movies to lean more towards Oscar material. If you're going to be taking on one of the characters that's more infamously dark, I don't know if we're gonna get a silly Batman movie. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not even saying silly, but lighter in tone, more fantastical,
sure.
leaning more into the other aspects of Batman we don't get to see very often.
But I think that this is a good example of the difference between how we can pull that off. Mm-hmm. Because you have the first Suicide Squad, which is just joyless.
Yeah.
It's just an exercise in studio shitheadedness Ayer is not exactly got the best track record at this point. But I didn't even like Fury that much. I don't know why people like it so much.
It is not aged well.
Yeah, and if you go back and he directed Bright, I forget what he directed since then. Didn't he direct the one?
Tax Collector.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
That was a case where every time I see, I released I hear hashtag release the Ayer cut trending. And my first thought is always the same. It's
no.
Have you guys watched other Ayer movies? It's the answer is more than likely no, because the only one he's really known for was Training Day and End of Watch. He only directed one of those.
Yeah, no. So the thing is that we were talking about this earlier. Regardless of the fact that David Ayer does not have a great track record, in the end, what the studio did was they pushed him to make a movie very quickly, and then meddled in it the whole time.
Oh yeah, that's beyond doubt.
And then took the finished cut and meddled in that to an extent that I have never seen a movie a studio meddle before.
Oh, let's be clear. David Ayer got screwed.
He got screwed.
But that doesn't mean I want to see what he did originally.
No, exactly. Like you said, nothing would fix the Joker. But compare that to James Gunn being given free reign.
And clearly, the best I can compare it to is the TV show Legion on Fox.
No spoilers. I've only gotten to season 2.
I'm not going to give anything away,
right.
But it's based on it's based on the X-Men comics.
No,
but it's also a show where clearly nobody ever said no.
Yes,
and that's as most I'm going to say about it, because this is the most. I can't believe that show got 3 seasons. Because this is the most out there, batshit insane, and I loved every second of it. But it is absolutely batshit. And this feels kind of in that same vein, where it's can I have this character? And they said, Well, kind of like
I guess.
like kind of like a parent that lets their kid smoke pot. Like, no, all right, we'd rather you didn't, but if you're gonna, we'd rather you do it here,
so we can make money off of it.
yeah. And I'm not gonna give away what character I'm talking about, but if you've seen the trailer, he's in there.
Which trailer?
The main this. They show the screenshots of the
for what Legion?
No, for the Suicide Squad.
Oh. What?
Yeah, the big character's in there.
The what? The what?
The big character.
Oh, well, no, don't.
I'm not saying
Some people manage to avoid trailers, man.
I'm not saying what it is. I'm just saying he's in the trailer. Again, I'm saving that talk for when we get into spoilers.
Yes,
but my point is the fact that character, who is just one of the most absurd things to put in a movie like this, is in here, and I'm honestly kind of amazed he got away with it. But my only suspicion as to why he got away with that, and a lot of the other characters he went with, is because the studio couldn't think of anything else to do with them. So they said, might as well just throw them in here. Like, that's why we have Weasel. That's why we have Polka Dot Man. That's why we have Javelin. That's why we have Captain Boomerang, once again played by Jai Courtney.
Yeah, I'm surprised they brought him back. He was
one of the more enjoyable parts about the first Suicide Squad. I'm using that term liberally.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so the characters are great, the actors are having a great time, and I think that there's something that a lot of people don't appreciate is the difference that when actors enjoy being on set, and when they enjoy playing the characters, when they are having a good time working through this material and creating what they're working to create together, you can tell.
Yeah.
And you could tell everyone on this movie was having a fucking blast. And that James Gunn is fun to work with.
Because again, like, they were clearly given free reign to approach this story and these characters however they wanted to.
Yeah. But yeah, so the action is actually really good. Which is interesting because I know that one of the things about Marvel movies is that they basically have the directors that they hire do the bulk of the movie. And then they bring in their own action directors to take over for the action scenes.
That makes sense.
So it was good to see. That James Gunn, when given the reins himself, is still a good action director.
Yeah.
And that his writing is still like normally his strength is writing, but here he is just so confident with what he's doing. And he's clearly having a good time getting back to, like, gory stuff.
And he's had that studio experience to kind of, like, teach him how to do that stuff better. Like how to frame those action sequences with these big, larger-than-life characters.
Yeah. And now you have, like, he's bringing MCU fucking experience to a completely different area where he's allowed to be as gory as he wants. And
which is, like, the only good thing to come out of that stupid bullshit where he got fired up, like, a few years back.
Well, but that's the thing. If he got fired...
If he did not get fired, we would not have this movie.
Can you believe that the trolls that tried to dig up his old tweets and get him canceled are basically the reason that we have this movie?
Yep.
The reason that fucking WB stepped in was like, that's dumb. We'll take you. You want Suicide Squad? And he was like, oh, fuck yeah. And fucking Marvel was like, wait, we might have fucked up. No, come back. We can't do Marvel. We can't do fucking Guardians 3 without you. And he's like, yeah, but I'm still doing that. They're like, all right. So
here's the fun thing about that.
Now we get this.
Now, not only do we get this, he's still allowed to do other stuff for DC. Like they just announced that recently. Where he said like he's still going to work on movies and TV shows for him.
Well, considering that this thing has like what was it, a 94, a 96 on Rotten Tomatoes?
It's like massive critical acclaim.
Yeah, it's like the average rating is not super high, but that's why I like contrasting like Metacritic versus Rotten Tomatoes, because Metacritic actually averages the review score.
Yeah.
But Rotten Tomatoes, which gives you a better idea of whether you're in for like an art house film or something, or like just something that's fun. But Rotten Tomatoes gives you an idea of like how many people had a good time.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be like the best time ever, but was it a decent movie that's worth seeing? This movie has an almost unanimous
it's so much fun.
It's rated so highly, and I know the pandemic is happening, so you know we're not having people going to theaters as much, but
I mean it's still got HBO Max, so I guess they'll still get their
sure they'll see how it does on streaming numbers as well. But it's just
and it made me care about characters like Peacemaster and Ratcatcher. And
Ratcatcher is the shocking star of the show.
I know, like there's like that scene towards the end, without giving away the spoilers, legitimately kind of got me tearing up a little bit.
Yeah, I was like, fuck yeah, like this is yes.
And what was Idris Elba's character's name? Like Bloodshot or whatever it was.
Yeah, Bloodsport.
Bloodsport, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Which that or sparked a stupid controversy too. But people got mad, even though it's in the comics of like he's in there because he like shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet and put him in the ICU. A lot of dumb people got really upset with that because at this point we're at that stage of toxic Superman fandom where they have attached their horrible ideas of masculinity to Snyder's version of Superman.
People have no idea what like the source material is.
No, and that's what everyone's like, you guys are idiots. This literally happened in the book.
No, I remember that happening all the way back to like Spider-Man. Like when the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies came out.
Oh yeah.
Like back before, you know, the Nolan Batman trilogy made it, you know, viable for adults to enjoy superhero movies. I still think that the first two X-Men movies and the Spider-Man trilogy were so groundbreaking in getting a larger mainstream audience to give a shit about these characters in movies and to have fun with them. And I think part of the, like, one of the things I saw happening even back then was them becoming popular with people who did not care about them outside of the context of the movies. So their understanding of the characters and what they embodied was limited to just what they saw in certain iterations of the movies.
Which isn't bad on itself. It is
not
bad,
necessarily.
But it is bad we try to project that onto everything else and everyone else's views of that.
Yeah, it's...
Where you said, like, my interpretation is right, yours is wrong, and I'm gonna fucking beat you to death about it. Metaphorically. Like, the hyperbole is not that far off.
I'm not going to start that conversation with you, but I think that's pretty funny.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean by that? Don't you fucking dare. And hold on.
Longtime fans of the channel will know exactly what's happening here.
Hold on. In my view on that is not there's only one correct version of it. My course there is a certain set. Never mind. We're not doing this.
I told you I'm not trying to start this conversation.
I've been set up to fail. I can see that.
I didn't. You set yourself up and walked right into it. Buddy.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe not. My point is, I do not agree with the notion that there's only one right version of the character. I think it's a good way and a bad way to do it. It just depends on the execution.
All right.
Go watch my Into the Spider-Verse video. That's where I talk all about that.
Exactly. Which is. I'm not starting this conversation. I'm not. This is about Suicide Squad.
Are you done?
No. Move on. I'll move on with you. You gotta move on though.
Alright, so. Well, now you make me feel like an asshole here. And I feel like you're mischaracterizing my previous arguments. Anyway. Not taking the bait.
I'm not baiting you.
You're literally sitting there, like, trying not to lose your shit.
That's my honest reaction. I'm not trying to bait you. This is not forced. This is just funny to me.
Taking deep breaths.
Ooh, got some water.
Okay. Anyway. Well, now I lost my train of thought.
Toxic projections of characters.
Right.
Fucking,
yeah, where masculinity.
people getting mad about Bloodshot, shooting Superman.
Yeah, that's where I was trying to go with that. Because people tie that, their image of masculinity to that particular interpretation of the character, that the idea of anything threatening that particular version was, like, so damaging to their egos, I guess. They just couldn't accept the fact that, no, this Superman's, like, a specimen. He would never be taken down by a kryptonite bullet. And then you're like, but it literally happened. Here's the page.
Wait, I find that funny, especially considering that if we're talking about those Superman fans...
I know, right? He died.
Literally, we're talking about a version of Superman that died.
Yeah.
Because Batman built a suit and hit him with fucking kryptonite gas. Like,
yeah. It doesn't make a lot of sense when you actually construct
it. It fits into your own fucking mythos. Like, what are you doing?
The point is, it's dumb.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, the point I was originally trying to make of that is, like, it got you to care about these... I'm trying to move on. You're not helping me here.
As a Snyder fan, it's really fun to see the Snyder dumbasses.
Yeah.
Just being that stupid. It's wow.
And by the way, like, asterisk, I recognize that does not represent the majority of Snyder fans, only the loudest and most obnoxious. Yeah.
The former, not the latter.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, sometimes.
Not in the same way. I'm not toxic about it. I just like trolling your ass sometimes.
Clearly, as the last 5 minutes show.
That's not me trolling. That is me laughing.
It feels like a troll.
Nope. Did I mention that I was on a debate team for a while in college? I did very well. So I'm very good at turning people's arguments against them.
Because you're an asshole?
No, because I'm good at spotting logical fallacies and inconsistencies.
I feel like the act of that is actively mischaracterizing my previous arguments.
It's not actively mischaracterizing anything.
I disagree.
You literally said that Superman should be something that is accessible to children.
That doesn't mean, like, there's a difference between that versus this is the only right version of the character.
But you were using it to say that that's why the Snyder thing's...
I said it was part of it. I never said it was the whole. I think it's a big part of it.
Alright.
I think it's a big important part of it, but that is not the same as saying I think there's only one right interpretation of the character, which is what I was trying to say before.
That's what it feels like sometimes, man. You say it can't be grimdark.
I'm not saying it can't be, I'm saying it shouldn't be.
I like grimdark Batman.
Okay, like, you can get away with that better with Batman.
Yeah.
But Superman's a different beast. Yeah. And that's my point there. I'm not saying...
I could get that, but I like alternate universe Superman where he's getting a little more vulnerability and complexity and, like...
I think there's a lot of complexity
darkness.
in the modern day version of Superman. You just gotta actually find the good stories with it.
Yes, but that's the problem. There's a lot of different stories and there's some shit in there and some gold in there. And you gotta figure out what's what.
True. The problem is, like, most of the ones that are shit are the ones where they try to make them, like, grimdark and like ultra serious. And...
Remember the New 52 where he snorted kryptonite cocaine?
That is exactly the one I'm thinking of. Yes, where he rode around a motorcycle because he lost his powers and shit. And he's like, I'm a badass.
Did he wear leather? Did he wear leather?
He did not wear leather, unfortunately.
Did he have glowing sentient chains?
Close.
Did his cape grow a dark collar that he could use?
He wore a t-shirt with the Superman logo on there and jeans. I'm not kidding.
They turned him into a biker.
They did.
Oh,
they absolutely
my God.
And there was an issue that tried to like police brutality where it's literally Superman standing in front of cops with like gigantic chains in his hands. Which,
wow.
Like, on his base, not a bad idea. Execution, a little clumsy.
Feels like somebody was doing cocaine and lifting weights while writing that script.
Oh, that's not even including the time Superman went to the future where he fought clones of Hitler.
See, no, this doesn't feel. This feels like This doesn't feel like it's written by Michael Bay. It feels like it's written by characters that Michael Bay has written.
Yeah. And that's another reason why I had issue with the Snyder films is also because it inspired that era of Superman. Because you and I were having this conversation before too, and which is like, when is it okay to do like weird stuff in the comics versus when is it okay to do stuff in the movies? And that's because let me finish my thought before you get over snarky thought.
No. Go on. I'll give it to you. You'll be fine with it.
Okay. It's the problem is like because the comics kind of do whatever they want. They exist in their own little pocket. Like they're niche. Fans enjoy them. But when a movie does it, that tangentially affects the comics in retrospect.
Okay.
And the comics are changed to match more of the movies because that's what they think is going to draw audiences back to the source material.
Sure.
So whenever like you present Superman as grimdark, for example, in the movies, and they decide like, okay, we're going to make the comics more like that version. That's when you get shit like the New 52 Superman and like Injustice for better or worse.
Yeah.
And like that, so that has a compounding effect, which is why I made my original statements like Superman should be aimed more at kids because it affects the comics in that way, which is read by younger audiences, which can interpret how they represent this character.
I can get that, but at the same time, I feel like that's not necessarily the responsibility of the movies.
I think it kind of is though. I think there is a cultural responsibility on how you present those characters.
On a certain level, I can see that, but I feel like there's a lot more moving parts.
There is. I'm not going to
just the movies.
I'm not going to deny that.
The thing I want to bring up, just as an example.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you remember what spawned into comics in the 90s for a while?
Christ.
Do you remember that grimdark era where, like, Captain America's shield fed on blood? Like that?
I fucking forgot about that.
That shit was ridiculous.
And
that shit, Todd McFarlane destroyed the comics industry.
Todd McFarlane can fuck right off.
Here's the thing. I fucking love Spawn.
There's also I think that was around the era where they also made Punisher like an avenging angel.
Oh god, I didn't hear about that. I don't know about that.
Like he literally like died and turned into an angel and he fought demons and shit.
Fucking Dark Horse Comics for a while, dude. Like, wow, just wow. And of course, like Frank Miller's shit.
Oh, God.
Like,
yeah.
Just like I'm just saying, this element has been there and has inspired bullshit for a while.
Oh yeah, Watchmen's a great example. Amazing book, revolutionary book, but it inspired a lot of bad writers who did not get the point of Watchmen.
Yeah, there's a lot of shitty fan fiction that makes its way into production. But
my favorite, this is the last thing, I'll go back to Suicide Squad.
Okay.
My favorite pissy take of all time comes from Alan Moore when he talks about Rorschach fans. Because like he openly says like, I wrote Rorschach to be like a racist, misogynist, like homophobe, like the worst possible like authoritarian fascist in the book. So of course it's everybody's favorite character. And then people come up to me and it's like, hey man, I loved Rorschach, and I'm like, that's great. Now please go away from me forever. Which is like his words.
Yeah, no, I think that people romanticize the idea of someone standing against society and hating society
without recognizing the context.
Well, because that's the part that they love about it.
Yeah,
they love like, oh yeah, he's kind of punk rock, and like they don't look at like, oh, he's also kind of awful otherwise.
An authoritarian fascist, yes.
Yeah, it's weird how like, who else has been like that recently that we... Anyway,
it's almost like that kind of mentality has an appeal to some kind of people.
You mean racist, fascist, misogynist?
It's kind of like people in my Superman Smash the Klan video who interpret criticism against the Klan as anti-white propaganda.
This is gonna be over an hour long review.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So
I cleared I had like an hour free of space, and I just cleared out the rest. Like, all right, we're gonna need it.
All right. So
we'll see how long the battery lasts.
So did you bring the charger?
I did not.
Is it a proprietary port or is it like USB?
It's USB.
Oh, we can probably make that happen.
We'll figure it out. Anyways, moving on. Yeah. So back to Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you just want to get into spoilers? Because I want to talk about spoilers.
I mean, I feel like anyone who was interested in the movie without spoilers kind of fucked off a while ago, probably.
Yeah, so let's talk about spoilers.
We went on tangents. Okay, so, you know what we think about it. You know, we loved it. It was great. It was fun. Everything was good. It's not perfect, but damn, is it a good time.
Yeah.
Let's get into spoiler-terry. Spoiler alert. Spoilers for people
I know I'm jumping right to the end, but I have to
spoilers.
I just have to express my joy about this fucking Starro, man.
Dude, like...
I just knew he was going to be it because of the trailer, but I was like, just to the full reveal of like, yes, we made it as dumb as it fucking looks. And it's like, it is like a pitch perfect translation from book to screen in like the most ridiculous way.
What I love is that moment where I straight up just said like, we got some fucking kaiju shit, and then literally less than a minute later someone in the movie says that exact thing, like...
Yeah, like, this is what Starro looks in the comics.
Oh man, I like his movie design even better. They did well.
Yep, like, it's kind of amazing how they made this work. There's some twists, mostly in that the stars that go on people's faces just straight up kills them, instead of just kind of possesses them, which way it does in the comics.
No.
Which is mostly because they can have people like him possess Superman and have him fuck shit up, and have him still be alive by the time the story's over.
Sure.
You know.
But yeah, so they do this. They do it. They go all in on it.
Full in.
The way they do it is great. The fucking, like, I don't know if people in the theater got kind of mad at us or not.
Oh, we were cheering.
No, well, not only cheering, but I was laughing the whole time.
The people next to us were into it too.
Yeah, the people in our row were pretty good, but I feel like there may have been, because there were some people, like, I don't know if you saw that lady who was kind of like in front of and to the left of us after the movie, but she was kind of like turning and like looking at us and shit, and I'm like, do I know you? Like,
I wasn't paying attention to her.
But no, it was this crazy thing where, yes, it is the final thread of the movie. Yes, it is very serious. Yes, there are hundreds of people fucking dying on screen in front of you. But my God, if I wasn't laughing at how fucking stupid it looked so ridiculous. And the fact that it manages to pull off both of those things at once.
It's both like weirdly threatening because it does kill a lot of people.
It kills a lot of people.
While also, looking like a giant starfish with a bright pink starfish.
Yeah, because
with a giant fuck off eyeball in the middle of it.
What it is.
That has little tiny versions of itself come out of its coming out of its armpits.
Oh my God.
It's just the fact that it did that and it somehow succeeded against all odds.
It's fucking magic.
Like, there is no reason this should have worked.
But it does.
And I love it for that. That's the kind of shit, like, when comic book movies lean into the most absurd concepts without shame.
Yeah, that's when it shines. Hang on, I'm gonna go grab a power cable real quick. But
we'll pause here for a second.
Oh, you want to pause?
Yeah, I can spice it.
I'm gonna feel like you have stuff to say, so you could just.
All right, sure, that's fine.
Yeah, go for it.
And it just. The closest I can come to like an equivalence to this would probably be like Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which also made me giddy as all fuck when they actually zoom out to the planet and you see the face on there. Granted, they didn't give him the beard they have in the comics, but I'm not really surprised. But when... This is what we're talking about when comic book directors and writers stuff like that know what they're doing, when they know what they're making, and they're not embarrassed by it. They recognize that it is absolutely part of the game.
They embrace it.
That's when I think you can really, when you do exactly what a comic book movie or TV show should do, which is embrace it, but also use it to express some kind of humanity out of it in a weird way. Whether it's by dealing with daddy issues, mommy issues, as the case may be here, or just helping the people come together to fight a giant fucking starfish. Whatever the case may be, the fact that it works off as smoothly as it does, without missing a fucking beat, is just truly astonishing.
Truly commendable.
And bravo. Taika Waititi gets credit for the...
Taika Waititi.
Sorry. I can never get his name right. Taika Waititi...
Racist.
No, apparently that's if you call somebody out for wearing tidy whities.
Right. Uh-oh. Hang on. Camera adjustment.
You good there?
Are you good?
I'm good.
How do you look?
More or less the same. Yeah, we're good.
Still centered?
Yeah, I'm good. I can always cut around this part later.
All right, sure. Well, I don't know. I just want to...
Or make it lazy.
Well, because it's gonna be plugged in. So
there you go. So, yep, it's working. Yeah.
Slightly off center.
Like
slightly tilted.
Like it looks okay to me.
It's fine.
Yeah,
okay.
It's good enough.
All right.
But yeah, and I fucking love it when
I can't believe I made that work. Actually,
I know. Right? I just fucking love it when they do this. Like even I think say what you will to the CW shows. There's one clip in particular that got a lot of hate. I got a lot of hate because it is so silly.
But, is it the one with the lightning swords?
No.
Okay.
Chris, show me that one. It's the one where Gorilla Grodd goes back in time to kill Obama. As a teenager. This happens. And it is so dumb, but I kind of love it. Because, yep, that is absolutely something that would happen in the comics.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Where it says Gorilla Grodd walking into Obama's bedroom, and he goes, "Obama, it is an honor to be here to kill you." It's like, yep, that's a dumb Flash comic.
All right.
So it's like, know what your genre is, know what the tropes are, know how to use them to your advantage. Because if you know how to balance those pieces and just the general absurdity and weirdness of it, you can find fucking gold. And that gold comes when you tell a Pokemon to envision the starfish as your mother.
Polka Dot Man.
Polka Dot Man.
Yeah.
To envision the starfish as your mother, and then just play that out.
and then actually make a, like, 10-story tall version of his mother as the kaiju for like, from his perspective for the scene, so you can see that play out as it does in his head. It's really something. Can we talk about the opening?
Yes.
Because they really they really lean into the Suicide Squad part of it, where they just send in a completely separate secondary team, essentially as cannon fodder or as a distraction.
Yep.
But it also becomes literally a cannon fodder because one of the characters sells them out and immediately gets fucking shot in the face by the people he sold them out to.
Even before that, though, because, like, you and I were laughing
fucking
our ass off
Weasel, dude.
at Weasel, which I'm pretty sure you, like, when he's in the big, like, group shot, they literally just show his dick hanging out.
I didn't notice that. But they load everybody onto the fucking jet or helicopter, and they go to drop them all off, and they start dropping them in the water, and they drop Weasel last, and he just starts flailing and screaming, and Captain Flag is just like... Colonel Flag is just like... Didn't check to see if Weasel can swim, and just, like, the people in the operating room just, like, look at each other, like, It just,
and right off the bat, Weasel's the first one to die.
Yeah,
and it's just like,
immediately.
My God, that is amazing. And then everyone else just more and more violently just dies.
Captain Boomerang not only has a moment of actual badassery when he fucking kills 2 people with his boomerang from afar, but then, like, dies very quickly after that. In one of the best deaths of the opening, I think.
Yep, because it's right after Javelin, who is like, by the way, these are characters that are so obscure, even I don't know most of them.
But they're real.
But they, like, except for TDK, most of them are real.
Yeah. No, I do love that they got, like, they clearly got these people as, to just be expendable.
And I love that they pick characters like, look, nobody's gonna care what we do with these characters.
Yeah. So they just got these people that they were like, oh yeah, no, definitely expendable guys.
Like, who cares about Blackguard? Send him in to die.
Just fucking slaughter them all. The cast silly fucking actors as them who are not suited for a full movie commitment of this type, and let's just send them all to their immediate deaths at the beginning, because they will enjoy the comedy of this and they'll be fine with it. Yeah. And they do it, and it's just a fucking fantastic opener. Yeah, it's so good. There's so much fucking blood. It's so gory. It's so much fun, dude.
And again, you really have to give credit to Margot Robbie, who, like, after 3 movies into this character, has found has perfectly found her balance. As Harley Quinn, and she is amazing. And she gets better with every movie she's in. Because Suicide Squad was, like, good but kind of rocky. But then, like, Birds of Prey, she found her she kind of found her level. And this one, she's like, okay, she just is Harley Quinn now.
Yeah, no, she's got it nailed down. Especially, there's just the way that she interacts with people throughout this movie is great. Just like the rescue scene.
The rescue scene was great. I love the little B plot with the javelin. I thought that was great because the whole thing is she kind of like hits it off with like the javelin character who like dies right away, and he's like, you're the only one who can wield my javelin. Use it for. Okay, I don't know if the camera picked that up.
Perfection.
But oh my God. So I don't know if you guys caught that. But right at the end of that sentence, Muha farted, and now the circle is complete. I think what makes it funnier is that we have been joking for weeks about like perfectly timed farts in quiet movie moments to really like bring home that. Dear mommy moment.
Oh.
Holy shit. Oh my God. Oh. This is like one of the weirdest reviews we've done in a while.
Oh man.
So anyway.
Oh
So basically, Harley Quinn gets pissed because, like, I don't know what, I don't know what I'm supposed to use this for. He was gonna tell me, but he didn't tell me.
No, he dies
He
at
dies.
the right moment. He's gonna tell her, and she has this moment where she's like, they play it as a dramatic beat, where she's raising her hand to like touch his dead face or something, and she brings it to his cheek, and then she fucking slaps him. She keeps slapping him, and she's like, for what? Tell me for what? Fucking rude! Like, just...
Yeah. And, like, so the entire rest of the movie, she's, like, getting around this javelin. One of my favorite lines in the movie was just after, like, the failed rescue mission where she's already rescued herself.
Yeah.
Which is actually also a pretty good sequence.
Yeah.
And she's hiding the javelin. It's like, what's with the javelin? She's like, I'm waiting for... What was it? It was like...
waiting for God to tell me what to do with it.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's like, Jesus Christ.
Like, or Jesus, I don't know. Whoever can tell me.
Any one of them is fine.
Like, yeah.
It's
like perfectly delivered, and like I did find it a little weird to give Margot Robbie kind of a weird B plot to this movie, but I liked what they did with it, so I was kind of okay with it.
Yeah.
Because she has this whole subplot where she kind of like gets in this love affair with the dictator of that country.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's they could have very easily just left her a prisoner.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think it's also important because it helps kick off the decay in power.
Yeah, it does kickstart the rest of the movie.
They could have easily removed that character though, and just had it be the crazy fucking power hungry guy initially.
That's true.
And
yeah.
not had that thing with her. But it's a fun little thing the way that it turns out.
But I did kind of like what they did with it, kind of like
Yeah.
kind of building on her character as because the whole thing is like, well, I've killed a lot of children, and she's like, oh, bang. It's like,
Yeah.
well, like, why'd you do that for? And it's because like, well, after my last relationship, I told myself that anytime I see a red flag, I'm gonna do the right thing and murder them.
And killing kids.
That's a bit of a red flag.
Kind of a big red flag. Yeah, so, yeah, no, it's great. It's great.
I personally appreciated that.
Yeah. Yeah, it really builds on the whole idea that Harley is... I really liked that they had the whole thing where they really liked her because she represented, like, anti-American fervor.
Yeah.
And you could see that complicated reaction on her face when she hears that. Because it's not that she's against America, she's against authoritarianism and authority, and like she just wants people to do what the fuck she wants. She hates the cops. She hates the government.
Yep.
She hates the people who want to put her in jail, and doesn't necessarily mean that she hates America, right?
Yeah.
So the way that plays out is very interesting.
Yeah.
And I think it really helps build on the fact that she's not necessarily a villain, so to speak.
No, not anymore.
And I really like what this movie did with that, even if it was one of several plots that it was jamming together.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Harley Quinn has had a fascinating evolution over the past decade.
Yeah. But that's something that this movie does very well. Every character gets its moment to shine. Like, all the significant characters get their moment to shine.
Fucking Polka Dot Man.
Yeah.
Fucking Ratcatcher. Who is, like, the weird heart of the movie.
Yeah,
Is fucking
no.
Ratcatcher.
I really liked her.
I really liked her
quite
too.
a bit.
She's a fucking adorable, and she's she's just weirdly kind for someone who controls rats. And she has a little pet rat called Sebastian.
Oh, Sebastian's the best.
And he waves at people.
Sebastian's the best.
And he has drinks with them.
Yeah, it's super cute. It's super cute.
Colonel Flag is a lot more endearing in this movie.
Yeah.
He feels more like a well-rounded person. John Cena's having a lot of fun as Peacemaker, who is a character I didn't even know anything about until I saw the trailer for this, and then I started seeing like things pop up on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it turns out like, even though he's must pay for comedic relief, pretty spot on as it turns out. And the twist they do with that, where he's the villain, because I guess it's his own TV show spin-off.
I don't think that he's the villain.
Not like
I think that he is dedicated to a certain kind of America.
Peacemaker. Yeah, like basically the way they described him in the movie is pretty much note for note how he's in the book. His whole thing is peace at all costs.
Yeah.
But that makes him the villain because at all costs basically means I will kill and murder everyone to get that peace.
Yeah.
That's pretty on brand.
I don't care who stands in the way of it. I will go through them if it means America.
Yes.
Which is the dark heart of America.
Yes. But that's what makes him the villain. So he is still a villain, he just doesn't think he is.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. I always like it when a movie decides to be like, hey, by the way, America, actually the villain here. Because it's reflective of the kind of shit, like, when we're talking about international affairs, if you know, like, 4 of the things that the CIA has done and fully admitted to over the years. Like, if you just look into what the CIA has gotten away with...
Oh, we've done so many
and denied for so long, and then just admitted later on, like, not just the coups, but the fucked up things we've done to our own people, our own soldiers. Like, we are not the good guys a lot of the time.
Most of the time.
And there is an America to be proud of and to love and to strive for, but the CIA and the government is not that part of it.
Absolutely fucking
So to have a movie where you have mercenaries enlisted against their will to go enact the will of America upon other countries, and to have essentially the climax of that movie turn out to be those people turning out to have more humanity and more goodwill towards just general people than the people who are sending them out to defend this country. I really enjoyed that twist.
No, like, and that's a good use for the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
That is what they are at the core of the story and the concept, which is they are an arm of the government. They are used at Amanda Waller's beck and call, who has been and always will be an extremely intelligent, extremely dangerous government stooge. Mm-hmm. And that is always, like, and again, similar thing, like, a peace at all costs, America at all costs. I'm willing to do whatever it takes for to protect the interests of whoever I'm working for.
She's the embodiment of, like, the CIA and shit.
Yeah. So, like, to use that and compare that with American imperialism and American interference in other countries to fuck shit up, which we've always done, is an extremely appropriate use of those characters. And I was glad, and that works so much better than just sending them to, like, New York City to fight, like, a witch lady.
Jesus Christ.
And it's such a smarter use of those characters.
It's so crazy to think about all the stuff that this movie does well and dive into it and talk about it and gush about it, and then just for a moment be reminded of the other one and just be like, Jesus.
And like, I think another critic pointed this out too. It's kind of weird also when it's like, hey, don't think about Suicide Squad 1, but also know just enough about it that we don't need to spend a lot of time in the first 5 minutes to go into this.
I mean, this works as a standalone.
It does.
It can totally work as a standalone. Just not even in terms of being independent of the first Suicide Squad, but just being independent of every other fucking comic book movie. It stands on its own very easily.
And this is a smaller note, but I also have to give. I wish the movie had more of, honestly. I would have loved to see more Peter Capaldi as the Thinker.
Yeah.
Like, that is, like, if they make another Flash movie after however this disaster one they're making now turns out, I would love it if they brought him back for that, because not only is he such a great fit for the Thinker.
He's a great actor.
He's a great actor. He is a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
And, like, the brief moments where he's getting to shine, because, like, if you watch Doctor Who or, like, In the Loop, you know that he does amazing monologues.
Yeah, if your only exposure to Peter Capaldi is his stint on Doctor Who, you need to look further into this man's career, because he has been around for a very long time and he has killed it. There's a reason that he's such a well-respected, long-standing actor in Britain.
And, like, love or hate Doctor Who, however you feel about the movie, like, he's done some amazing work on that show.
Well, sure, I don't watch Doctor Who.
No, fair enough, but, like, if you only look at one scene, apropos of nothing, look at the war monologue he has in that show. Because it is legitimately a monologue about, like, basically how war, like bloody and disastrous and like, leaves everyone broken, and everyone's gonna have to go back and talk about it anyway, so let's just do it now.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing monologue. But the point is, like, Peter Capaldi is such a perfect fit for this character, and the scenes he does have where he's allowed to be Peter Capaldi are so fucking good.
Yeah.
When he's allowed to be, like, the ultra villain, like, who is in charge of basically, like, genocide of people.
Yeah.
All for the sake of studying a gigantic fucking starfish. And it's like, I want a movie that has him as the villain, because in that character. I was kind of thinking it might have gone that direction, because they do imply early on he's the only one that can control Starro.
Yeah.
So I thought, like, the twist was gonna be that he takes control of it and he starts smashing shit up.
Yeah.
But turns out Starro just rips him in half, which is appropriate.
No, doesn't rip him in half.
Like,
rips off an arm and a leg and then just smashes the rest against a fucking glass panel.
I was like, he's not coming back.
I mean, it's comics. I never say never.
That's
but,
true.
You
That's
know, it seems pretty final, given the context of this movie.
Just scoop up his remains.
Just we got some Tupperware. We'll figure out what to do with this later.
Or they'll Palpatine it, you know? Kind of a clone body somewhere.
He was just napping on a moon for 30 years. That's fine. But yeah, I think
I fucking adored this movie.
yeah, this was a
so
great
much fun
fucking
with
time.
this.
This was such a good time. I just
We
had such a good time watching this fucking movie. It was so ridiculous.
Like you said before, not all the scenes work. There are some backstories that are kind of shoehorned in.
Yeah.
But they do have a payoff. They do have a reason for being there.
It's not flawless.
No.
But in terms of return for your investment of time, man.
Yeah.
Just so good.
It is a good example of how to do other kinds of stories in this genre correctly, while also still being a morality tale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It pulls off an impressive amount of different things.
Which, to
sometimes
me
at
personally,
once.
that's important.
Well, I mean, with a movie like this, you have to. Like, with something like The Suicide Squad, you have to.
True, but again, I feel like that's something that a lot of people don't. That's kind of like getting westerns right.
Sure. And I think that's something that Guardians 2 in particular did pretty well.
Guardians 2 is amazing. It's honestly, I think one of my favorites of the MCU movies.
Yes. But that's the thing. Like, he has a knack for having a whole bunch of characters and really giving them personality and really having a character arc for those characters, even if it's kind of simplistic or something.
Yeah. But you use that to express some form of humanity, whether it's big or small.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a right and a wrong way to do it. Like, again, compared to the first Suicide Squad, is a perfect way to do that. Which is like, the first Suicide Squad, the best you got out of it was, I got it from my family, which is it's not Fast and Furious.
No, even Fast and Furious is better than the first Suicide Squad.
I know, right? But like there was no morality tale. It was more like, well, we're mad that you lied to us about the thing, so we're gonna go over here, but now we're gonna do it because vague family reasons. And like, so not only is it a bad movie just in terms of technical and writing and acting, but it also serves no ultimate purpose in the genre where that's kind of important. But this one does not make those same mistakes. It knows what it's doing. It knows what it wants to say with the material. It knows the commentary it wants to make with it, and it pulls it off, not flawlessly, but more than enough to sell it. And for that, fucking bravo! They made a good Suicide Squad movie. God bless them.
Yeah, and I really, 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 really hope this gives James Gunn even more success on top of what he's gotten from Guardians, because this just, I really feel like this opens up a whole new set of doors.
I mean, at this point, like, he can dip in both waters now.
Well, he can dip in both waters, but also just the R-rated level of this movie will hopefully allow more people in the industry to see him as more than just a Marvel director.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
So I'm really... I know he's still got Guardians 3 coming up, which is probably going to be great. But I'm really interested to see where the rest of his career goes after this, because this was a golden opportunity, and thank you to everyone who tried to get him canceled, because now
he failed miserably.
Yeah, literally failed. This was a. You rolled a 1. You botched the roll. You got him a whole new set of toys to play with, and I for one hope that we get to see him keep making cool stuff for a very long time.
I think we will. I think that like he has done no wrong in the past few years, depending on who you ask.
Sure, but anyway,
I think that's all we got for this. Yeah.
Yeah, we are. How late are we right now? What time is it? It is past midnight.
Yep, that's a good time to wrap it up. So thank you guys for watching. We're still going to look at Jungle Cruise.
I'm not.
Well, don't worry. Chris already volunteered. Apparently he hates it, so...
Shocking.
That should be fun. So
I can't imagine why someone who is well-versed in the history of, like, artsy and foreign films and like is as into the fucking weird art house shit as I am might have a problem with another fucking Disney movie based on a ride. Especially one with as checkered of a racist history as the Jungle Cruise.
I'm going to call it right now. My prediction for that review is going to be me and Chris's version of Ad Astra.
Have you watched it yet?
I have not yet. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to see it on Monday.
All right, cool. We'll see.
So I'm going to feel like he's going to like hate it and bash it. I'm going to like,
I'd be happy to watch Chris rant on something like I did for Ad Astra. That would be great.
We'll see what happens there.
A good time.
And we still got to watch The Green Knight, so we'll find time for that next week.
Well, I'm doing that tomorrow. So.
We'll find time to talk about it next week.
Sure.
Yeah. So thank you guys for watching. See y'all later.